A little bit of a warning before we start this video, there are a number of flashing lights in this video, so if you do have photosensitivities, please be warned, may be best to give this video a skip. Otherwise, I will leave time codes down in the description below of where those flashes are so that you can avoid them. Thanks. Baby RGBs are pretty cute. Take one. Pocket RGB LEDs. I love these lights. I think they're so cool. I really think that they're so useful to the modern day cinematographer, being able to throw a light here, there, and everywhere and not really have to worry about getting it in shot because it's so small. You can tuck it behind things, you can hide it very easily, and ultimately you get access to all of these different features like gels and presets, which allow you to do so many funky effects that it's really limitless. Recently we shot a short scene using a couple of these RGB LEDs. We had a couple of BC7s, which are the Aputure globes. We also had an Aputure MC and a Lupo kick-ass panel. The idea of throwing them into the scene was to make it a real-world scenario, so if you're on set and trying to hide lights and using these lights to their full advantage. So hopefully this kind of does it justice and you can see their usage cases. We're going to go through shot by shot. I'm going to do the breakdown of each lighting setup for each shot. Let's have a look. So as you can see, we tried to use a lot of the different features involved in the lights. So some of the preset options, we used the Sidus app so we could connect to the Aputure globes and the MC panel. And we kind of tried to work an idea around those presets. So ignoring my not so great gimbal work moving inwards on this first shot, you can see that we've used one of the Aputure globes in the background there. That one was actually set on a custom color, which you can do. You've got a whole color wheel there. You can select whatever color you like and make that your color of your globe, and then you can change the intensity and do whatever you like with that. So that was just creating a nice soft edge on the back of Dustin here and kind of lighting the background without lighting the foreground. And if you've been around on this channel a little bit, you'll know that that's something I like doing. Then obviously we've got the window there. That's going to create a lot of reflections and be able to show a little bit more depth. Now we get onto the preset part of it. So he's watching TV and we wanted to make that light a little bit more intense, make it a bit brighter because the TV really isn't that bright on its own. We needed to add something to it. So we added the MC. Ignore the fact that I've written MX here. I think I've done that everywhere. Fix that MC. Look at that. So we had the MC panel set to television and then we put that into a silver side reflector because it is a small point of light, this MC panel, and that's kind of one of the downsides I find with it. It is a little bit too small. So you do need to make it larger if you want to make it a little bit more of a flattering light or you're trying to emulate a larger light source. The silver reflector gives it a little bit more punch. The next shot, this side angle, now this is pretty much just the same setup. It's just bumped in a little bit and modified a little bit, moved around a little bit in order to cater for the new frame. I love that this BC7 in the background with the custom color. I love that it creates a little bit of separation from the cold foreground to the warm background and just that light separation as well. You've got a darker foreground to a lighter background. I really like that. Then we have the lightning come in as well. So outside on the balcony, we have the kick-ass panel and that is on lightning mode. It was on, I think, 6500 Kelvin and it was on full intensity. intensity because we really wanted it to really shine. Next shot, who doesn't love Xena? So really the hero of this is the TV, but we needed to wrap the TV around a little bit. So to get the nice edge lights here and here, we ended up using the kick-ass panel instead of the MC panel. Both of them do pretty much the same thing in the television mode, so we were able to get away with it. The kick-ass panel was also more direct. Another side angle shot, this one I think I could have done a little bit better with. I may have accidentally bumped the intensity of that rear globe because it's a little bit darker. I could have made it a bit brighter, a bit higher in intensity to match the other shots, and I don't know why I didn't pick up on that. Could have been a bit better. Doing these sort of things allows me to critique my own work, so this is good. But otherwise it was completely the same. We still had the MC panel into the silver side of the reflector, bounced back into the scene. The cupboard shot. This shot was actually not using any of the lights at all. We shot this during the day. I closed the blinds just a little bit. It was afternoon light, so there was no direct sun coming through the window, and we just graded it down to make it look like nighttime. The candle shot, that was it. We didn't need anything else for that. That's totally fine. So for the next section, we actually did an ISO bump, so I needed to jump up to 3200, which is the next cleanest ISO, and that was because we're emulating a candle, so it is going to be really, really low, and the lens that I had was wide open. I was never going to have a chance in pulling focus, so I did open up on the ISO so that I could close down on the iris and be able to get something in focus, because operating and pulling at the same time, I can't do it. So to get more oomph out of that candle, that single candle that we had, we ended up using a BC7 globe, and I set it to the fire intensity and it was warmer in tone, and then you were also able to change the frequency of it. So I changed the frequency all the way up to kind of emulate the flickering of a candle. You can do all that within the app as well, which I think is great. So with the MC panel and with the BC7 globes, you're able to change pretty much anything you need to inside the Sidus app, which I found great because I didn't have to get up, move, do anything to fix whatever I needed to do. So in those sort of situations where you're the only person doing that stuff, it's really handy to have an app that you can just change it yourself. But in saying that, I really wasn't annoyed using the kick-ass panel either. Even though it didn't have an app to be able to change it and you had to go and manually do it on the device itself, it wasn't actually much of a problem. I ended up going with the BC for the emulation of the candle because it is shaped like a candle, or more like a candle than a square LED panel. In order to hold it in place, I just put it into a glass on the table so it would stand upright. Gotta work with what you got. But you can also put these into other features if they've got a screw in. Now the globe that we had as a practical in the background, now that one wasn't actually a screw in light bulb, that was a bayonet. So we ended up just sitting the light globe in the back of the lamp, and it was still able to look like it was in the lamp. So on the other end of this shot, we do a little gimbal move, which again, isn't that polished. I'm working on my gimbal work, okay? But on the other end of the shot, we have the lightning coming again from the kick-ass panel, which is outside. Again, I really like the lightning feature on this panel. It looks a little bit more natural than the MC panel, in my opinion. And with all of these lights, you can select a lot of different features that make it perfect for emulating sources, which is what this whole scene was about. It was about emulating the TV and the lightning and the candle and kind of bringing that all together with a custom light in the background, and trying to hide those light sources was so easy because they're so small. If you're shooting in a small location and you don't have room for stands or anything like that, this might be a cool thing to have in your kit. Any of these lights for that matter, any of these pocket LED lights that I've been using today, I would recommend. I don't think one is better than the other. I really do think that they all have their own features going for them. Like for instance, the MC and the BC7s, you can use the app. That was really great. And they're also a lot smaller. The MC also has magnets on the back of it, so you can stick it pretty much anywhere on a magnetized surface. The MC and the BC7s also have internal batteries, so you don't need to have another battery source. But the kick-ass panel is just as good as well. It's a bit bigger, so it's got a larger surface. You can emulate larger light sources with it. It's got focusing lenses on it, like all of the Lupo LED panels. But otherwise, it's got the same presets, it's got the same abilities as the MC panel and the BC7, minus being able to use the app. So there's pros and cons. Link of the week this week is Kira from Beautiful, Talented, Deadly. Kira is an artist and an activist who posts a lot of memes, art and content in regards to social justice, especially when it relates to the Indigenous peoples of Australia. They also sell their art on t-shirts and other items via their Redbubble store, which you can find linked in the description below. This t-shirt is actually from there. and I love it. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked that lighting breakdown. I find them really enjoyable because I get to look back at my work and kind of see where I need to fix things, and also get the opportunity to play around a little bit with light sources and see what sort of effects you can come up with. Highly recommend doing it yourself because it really is a sandbox. You can really do whatever you want. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you next time.